Welcome back. Last episode, the Prebug Zuma that we fully rebuilt did not start. This episode, we get to the bottom of that issue and we make it start. I hope. So I like to share with you guys my wins, and I also share my fails. I have no problem in doing that, and I believe this time I have had an epic fail. That is the reason why the engine won't start. So when I built this engine, Stage 6 70cc Mark II Pro, check the link up here somewhere. One of you legends left me a comment and he said, hey, you better check that squish. Now at the time I didn't think it was that important. How could the squish be anything less than Stage 6 recommend? We have a stock case, we have a Stage 6 crank, we have a Stage 6 cylinder, we have a Stage 6 piston, and we have a Stage 6 head. Surely it must be within spec, which is 0.75 to 0.85 of a millimeter. Well, I checked it anyway, and you bet your ass it was wrong. 0.35 of a millimeter, too dangerous to run. So I pulled the cylinder off, and then I realized that gasket that I put in there was no good. I had to cut new gaskets because I didn't have any spare. And this, I believe, is where the problem begins. I needed a new gasket and I didn't have a new one available. So I buy a roll of gasket paper. I measure, I trace a gasket. I put it in, I bolt it down, and we're at 0.35 of a millimeter again. No problem. Take the cylinder off, and that's where I found out that I put that gasket in backwards. Not a problem, because I have to reinstall it again anyway. I cut a new gasket. I put double stack gasket on, I bolt it in, I recheck the squish, and we're within spec at 0.85 of a millimeter. You beauty, everything is good. And then we roll on and finish the build on the motor. And this is where we're at now. I bet you those gaskets are in backwards. That is my theory, and that I believe is why this bike did not run. So in this episode, we're gonna pull the motor out, we're gonna take the cylinder off, and we're gonna double check that I put those gaskets in right, and then we're gonna replace them with new Stage 6 gaskets. Fortunately, pulling the engine out of a Prebug Zuma is pretty simple. Just need to take the exhaust off, the carburetor, disconnect some wiring, the shock absorber, and the main engine bolt, and she comes out pretty simple. Alright, motor's out. On the bench, let's take the cylinder off and let's see if my suspicions are correct. Interestingly, it looks like the gaskets were the right way around. The gaskets that I made. They're not the best gaskets in the world, but hey, they're the right way around. So that is not the problem. The search continues. But it does make me feel better because now at least I know they are the correct way around. And it also gives me the opportunity to put in these gaskets here, the correct Stage 6 gaskets. So I'll double stack these, which should give me the correct squish. So lesson learned, next time I build myself a 2-stroke motor for one of these scooters, I will order another set of gaskets because you just never know if that squish is going to be correct. Alright, so cylinder back together, piston in, cylinder head on. We've just performed a squish down test with 2 gaskets and we're at 0.74 of a millimeter. That is bang on the money, right where it needs to be. So I'm just going to pull this back off again, run a bead of Honda Bond in there, and then call it an absolute day. This motor's good to go. All right, motor's back together. We pressure tested it again and it held 6 psi for 52 minutes, almost an hour. It's not going to get much better than that. So now it is time to start this thing, see if it actually starts. So we're right back where we started at the beginning of this episode. Ignition on. I'm a bit nervous, but whoa, yeah! Look at that, it's running. You little beauty. It ran, it stopped, but we're there. The build continues. Now we're going to move on to the forward controls, the brakes. We've still got the front disc brake and caliper to put in, but we are on the home straight now. This bike starts, it runs, you ripper. If you're wondering, we are using a Polini CP21 carburetor. We've got a 36 pilot jet and a 106 main jet, and the clip is on the middle position in the needle. Alright team, moving on to the front brakes. For its maiden voyage, I did think being able to stop might be wise. So it's time to bleed the front brake caliper, and to do that, we need to add brake fluid. We've just put the fan on, the fan cover on. By now you guys are starting to see a bit of a theme with this bike, but what bike would be complete without a set of pretty grips? So for that, we've got these ones here from Vans. You do have to cut these down to fit on a Yamaha Prebug Zuma. So let's get them on. These are some of my favorite grips. I had these on the previous Prebug and I absolutely love them. They're nice and fat and they're really soft. Get yourself some of these. With a new seat going on, we now have ourselves a bike that can be ridden. So let's see if it'll start. At the beginning of this video, I said I hope to have the bike started and running and rideable by the end of it. And I believe we just did that. But where to next for this bike here? Before we go to what's next, let's look at what we've achieved. So, we have sandblasted and painted the frame. We have had the handlebars, fuel and oil tanks painted. We've done the wiring, we've done the harness. We've done fuel, we've done plumbing. Front and rear brake cables. Well, we've done the front brake cables, but not the rear. Accelerator cable. Forward controls. Front and rear lights, still to do. Install engine. We've done that twice. Front and rear wheels. We've done front brake and bleed fluid. Tail lights are in. We're still to do mirrors, fairings, seat, fuel, and test ride is complete. So if you guys have been enjoying this build series on this Yamaha Prebug Zuma, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, leave me a comment, and hit the like button. It will go a long way to help this channel grow. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Help me get there. But next time you see this bike, we should have the body panels painted, installed, and might even be able to take it on its first official test ride. Till then, see you on the next one.